Okay.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Focus on Liberia. Our topic today, the economic dividends of agriculture in the face of the confirmation of the new agriculture minister. So what we're going to do today, we're going to talk about the benefits or the economic benefits of agriculture as a sector. And recently we have our new agriculture minister confirmed, so we're going to be looking at that. And welcome again to Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jard, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. Believe it or not, it is snowing today in Atlanta, Georgia, and it's wonderful here. We have not declared a state of emergency, so don't panic. At this time, I want to switch this over to Mr. William Keene, who is co-hosting this afternoon. William, take it away from me.
Yes, thank you, Dennis. Once again, I want to say a big welcome. Thanks for those who will be joining us as we stream this live to have a good discussion about the economic dividends of agriculture and confirmation of the Minister of Agriculture. For many years now, many years we've been talking about agriculture, how it can be the lifeblood and can be the engine that starts our economy into something greater and better. I'm in Los Angeles, and Dennis, I don't want to hurt anybody that's on the East Coast, but just so you know, I can wear my T-shirt or my singlet outside here in California right now. That's how warm it is. So we're so thankful for that. So once again, thanks everyone for joining us, and I'll come back with the disclaimer a little bit later.
All right. And tonight in the house, we have Mr. Morris T. Mann. Mr. Mann, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
And thank you, Mr. Jar. Thank you for bringing me on today. This topic is very interesting. I'm happy to be here to weigh in on the meat of the topic.
Also joining us by phone is resident economist, Mr. Depu Zuo. Mr. Zuo, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jar, and good evening to our viewers and listeners out there. Glad to talk about agriculture. One is the mainstay of Liberian economy, so I think that's a very good discussion today.
Thank you, Mr. Zuo, and we want to welcome all our viewers by television who are watching us on Facebook. We want to say welcome. Pretty soon we're going to post our call number so you can be a part of the discussion. The economic dividends of agriculture. And we're going to go around the room to give a brief introduction of the topic. Just tell us a little bit about when we say the benefits or the economic benefits of agriculture. We want to hear your opening statements on that particular topic. And I will start with Mr. Morris T. Mann.
Mr. Jar, thank you again. And agriculture is one of the key economic stimulants of any country. Economic stimulate economic growth. Agriculture is not just planting something behind the house. Agriculture is one of the main pillars of any successful economy of any country. If you look around the world, you go to Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast is benefiting huge revenue from the agriculture sector. Ivory Coast is one of the major cocoa producing countries in West Africa. And the decision for us to invest, to focus our investment in agriculture, I think it's a good thing for our country, because over the years, our economy is heavily relying on extractive and mineral resources and other agriculture like the rubber, iron ore, and other stuff. And today, those commodities don't have the economic value to grow our economy like before. Now, most of the country around the world is trying to diversify that investment strategy. Most countries go into agriculture. Agriculture can bring huge benefit to our country. It can create jobs. It can ensure that we have, it can create jobs. It can help to expand our revenue base. But and some of the key challenges I think we need to look at in the agriculture sector is how to sustain the sector. You look at two key main issues how to sustain the sector. You look at electricity and road network. And I think the government is very strategic on the issue of road, and that will also help to enhance the agriculture activity in the country, because when you are involved in huge agricultural activities, you do equipment, moving equipment to the various location, farm to market road, how you move the product, how you move equipment to the farm. Those are key issues to consider, and this government is very strategic and moving that direction. And I want to encourage them to make sure that these issues that are just outlined, issue of electricity and road network, is quickly dealt with before we can put too much resources in the agriculture sector, because as an electricity, you cannot manage perishable product, and you cannot move other product to the market.
Thank you, Mr. Mann. Let me bring in Mr. William Thomas Bernard King for his opening statement on this very important topic.
Thank you, Dennis, so much. Before we go into my opening remarks, I just want to say that, the content on our Focus on Liberia is for informational purpose only. You should not construe any such information or other material as legal, tax, investment, financial, or other advice. Nothing contained in our media or written documents constitute a solicitation, recommendation, endorsement, or offer by Focus on Liberia or any third-party service provider to buy or sell any securities or other financial instruments in this or in any other jurisdiction in which such media material may be shared. So I just want to say that, so please nobody come after me and tell me, hey, you told me to go grow pepper. I put $50,000 in pepper and I didn't see anything. So please, you don't come to me. So where do I start? Well, look, growing up as a little boy in Liberia, growing up in the city, we always used to go to Kakatown. Why did we used to go to Kakatown? We used to go to Kakatown because we had a farm out there in Kakatown. It was a rubber farm, and we would go and we would watch the operation that would take place. We would have a good time up there for the weekend, and we would come back. And also at my mom's home, I always remember people farmers coming. They would either bring mangoes, plums, palm kernels. They would bring an assortment of different things from up north, definitely cucumbers. So, that's my early memory, fondest memory of agriculture. And of course, my great-grandfather, C.G.B. King, there was always this debate about Firestone. Firestone, was it a great deal? Was it a bad deal? And so forth. And no matter how many times that deal has been kind of adjusted, ratified, and everything, it seems like the only deal that's ever talked about was the first one in 1920, I think 26 or something like that, or 25. And it was interesting because the overall vision of what wanted to happen was basically to jumpstart Liberia into the industrial age. And up to that point, there had been nothing on such a huge scale. And so we started with this agriculture. And of course, with that deal, they had to build some schools, provide some different services and so forth. So, of course, there's a lot of debate, but Firestone is still in Liberia up to this date. Every government that you have that comes in, the first thing to do maybe is more political, but they say we're going to go and review the Firestone contract. We got to make it better. We got to make it better. We got to make it better. So with that being said, my thing is that yes, agriculture has evolved, and I think that we are on the right track in terms of the vision for what we want for Liberia. Many of us share those similar visions, but I think the issue when it comes down to is the implementation. Do we have implementation? Number one. Number two, do we have finances, which is often critical? And thirdly, no matter how benevolent and noble the cause is, we run into a situation where you have people who are challenged because they cannot finance a farming operation by themselves. They see that this thing is very expensive. And so we have a lot of hodgepodge different things going on in Liberia. So today on the show, we want to talk about that and also explore some different ways that we can kind of move away from that space and really make this thing what it should be. And we'll also talk about the Minister of Agriculture, what her vision is for agriculture, which is, of course, has to be a vision that is shared and that has been brought in from the president of Liberia, President Weah. So the minister is just an extension of President Weah and how passionate he is about agriculture. So we'll talk about that. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you, Mr. King. And you already mentioned that President Charles D.B. King is your grandfather. You also want to disclose, full disclosure, that the newly confirmed agriculture minister is you have some relationship.
Yes. That's my auntie. But you know how it is. We're all related some way. But yes, that's my auntie. So, for those of you on the show who would say that, I might be protecting her and so forth, I might be biased and everything, just because of the relationship. What can I say? But, that is probably true because that's my family at the end of the day.
That we make that full disclosure so that we get into this. Mr. Depozuo, what's your opening statement on the economic dividends of agriculture, and what is the role of the agriculture ministry in that vis-a-vis the confirmation of the new agriculture minister?
All right, thank you, Mr. Ja. I think when it comes to agricultural discussion, in no economy ever boomed from economic history without taking into consideration agriculture. In fact, and when the economists were discussing about labor, they factor productivity in terms of labor, the consideration of more into agricultural production at the time. And so every country you see becoming a powerful nation today, actually, their production and opportunity actually came from agriculture. So there's a serious need for developing countries, emerging economies, to ensure that they prioritize it, because the first thing that even without looking at a bigger picture or larger economy, you just look at household production. You see that if a household is focused on agricultural production and the head of household is involved, the mother, the father, everybody gets into agricultural production, they are able to feed themselves before they feed their neighbors. And as long as they can feed themselves and feed their neighbors, that makes a stable family and a stable nation as well. So from all indications, is one thing that every country will have to give priority to. Whether we lack the resources or not, but we have the resources for agriculture as a country, particularly Liberia. You got the human resources, you got the land, fertile land, and looking at the fertile land, the next thing that there is that we have the capital, but we have not been able to prioritize it to say, let's focus on agriculture. So that's the only thing that there. Now that the president of Liberia and the government of Liberia decided to make agriculture a priority in the second or third year, that they're going to go forward with that, and that's a welcoming news. One thing that I can tell you clearly is that if a country happens to prioritize agriculture, not in theory, in real practical form, to say that we are just investing 20% of our budget into agriculture, what's going to happen there is that besides the issue of food security, which is going to be addressing food insecurity for the population. And you're going to address the issue of health, because the better food production you have, the better health system you have, and good nutrition will give the children a good ability, and it will also improve the learning capacity of children. So agriculture is actually, that's why I said from the beginning, it's a mainstay of the Liberian economy. It's very much important. And if you check realistically, next to mining, agriculture is actually a good. The service sector constitutes highest percentage of our GDP right now. Next to that is mining, and from there you come to agriculture. Equally so, one thing you got to be looking at in terms of GDP percentage versus population percentage in agriculture. So you see that. Interestingly, if one has to really make a policy decision, if we are trying to address the issue of unemployment, of job creation, which area should we go? The statistics show clearly that at least about 70% of the Liberian population are actually involved in agriculture. So if 70% of these people actually involved with agriculture, 60% of the population involved with agriculture, and you increase agriculture production, what happens? It means that you're actually increasing growth, you're creating more jobs, you're creating more opportunities for families in terms of household decision making. In addition to that, one of the things that you also want to be looking at because of agriculture, the relevance of agriculture, there is that Liberia, rice is a staple food. And it's actually produced by household in Liberia, but at a low scale. If we were to make a decision today without going to mechanized farming, but the country policy says that government is going to provide subsidy or support for farmers who produce almost at least 5 acres of land will be able to be given support. And a household or family people are in the position to produce 5 acres of land. They can now feed their family and feed their neighbor and export. So these are some of the things that will actually give rise to Liberia growth. Our potential for growth and economic stability is mainly into agriculture. So what are some of the things that led me to have said that? One, rubber is one of the major exports in the agriculture sector. Even though people thought the prices of rubber, on the world market will be a concern to us, but if the government happen to say that you're going to increase capacity of private sector could provide opportunities that it can do value addition in the rubber sector. That's a smooth sheet rubber production. It means that they are increasing our output in terms of our GDP. Besides that, they're going to be increasing job opportunities. So that's the best thing. Besides rubber, you also have a cocoa. Liberia has a lot of opportunities that we can actually delve into. But if we can feed ourselves just from rice production alone, we are importing $210 million worth of rice annually. And we were to encourage farmers or household production and say each person with 5 acres or just 1 acre of land, you can produce as a family. What's going to happen there is that you are actually going to also reduce the high input we're having. Our import dependence is going to reduce. So I'm actually in favor of the decision. So these are huge opportunities in agriculture that we can take advantage of.
Thank you, Mr. Zuo. Mr. Man, okay. And if you're not talking, if you can look up like that, then because my viewers are saying your face is bent, they want to see this cute guy. So, Mr. Basic economic, when we were in high school, they talk about the factors of production. So when we talk about this agriculture here, Mr. Man, what exactly are we talking about? Is it growing, rice? Is it the household production that we do as family all the way, look at Tuo or other places? Should it be mechanized farming? What does it include when we say agriculture? What are we talking about here?
And when we say agriculture, from an economic perspective, we'll be looking at the merchandise farming, because that's large-scale farming activities that can help to boom the economy. The household farming is something that we can also prioritize, because it will help to sustain a family and improve the economic well-being. But the merchandise farming will add value to our and GDP. It will also increase job opportunity, because when we have large farming activity, But one thing we have to be strategic, innovative in how we go into the agriculture sector. We have to know what is our signature project, what actually want to do, because it's not because we consume huge quantity of rice, so we put most of our resources into rest. It's not just to feed ourselves. And what's the economic aspect? It's not only to feed ourselves, but how do we generate revenue from the agriculture sector? We have to have some product that we can also send to an international market. How do we add value to those commodities? How do we industrialize the agriculture sector? Because when we grow in stuff, we can't just be sending all the raw just from the farm straight to the international market. It does not work like that. We won't actually yield the kind of necessary benefit and return we'd expect to get from the agriculture sector. But when we industrialize the agriculture sector, where we produce some of these things like cocoa, and we can turn the cocoa into coffee, chocolate, and value-added product, those are the kind of things that I expect the government to look at. But we have to know what's the government signature project, what the kind of agriculture activities they want to initiate, because you can just go in the sector. The sector is big. Other countries, they have specific agriculture projects, like the Ivory Coast. They invest most of their resources into cocoa. That's why they have other agriculture activities, but a huge amount of the resources is allocated to cocoa, and the intent is because the cocoa market is booming and they can leverage huge revenue from that sector. So Liberia should identify a specific agriculture signature project. Okay, let's say for instance, we say, okay, we do cocoa or we do rice. At which level we're doing rice? Are we doing it only to feed ourselves, or producing it to also feed other people? And agriculture is expert now is looking at agriculture to be one of the major and source of income and potential growth investment in any country, because the population is growing around the world. From now to 2050, the population will grow around 10 billion. And only agriculture investment can sustain the population as the population grows, because people want to consume. And a lot of things happen when the population grows. The demand for agricultural product will increase. So when Liberia start to invest in that sector, that's a clear indication, and anybody can rest assured that in the nearer future, our investment will yield the necessary dividends, because our product will be in demand, because agricultural activities will always be in demand, because people need food, people need agriculture. Address a lot of issues, address health problems, because we can be growing some crops that people can use to face medicine, because it's not all agriculture activity used for only consuming as food. They also used for facing medicine. So we
are you talking about weed, Mr. Man? Are you talking about cannabis?
No, it's not weed.
Cannabis? It's okay. Not, in California, I can talk it. It is legal.
Yeah. We can even grow weed. It's not to smoke it, but we can even export it to California and make some money. Yeah, so we got to be very strategic how we go in the sector, and how we bring technology within the sector. It shouldn't be like the agriculture activity yesterday, where people just go to carry and make gardens and say, oh, we're having agricultural activities going in the country. We got to be very clear, define what we want to do. We got to be very strategic, innovative. We got to identify our product that will drive economic activity. It's not just anything.
Thank you. So Mr. King, anytime you talk about agriculture in Liberia, maybe our mind is talking about rice or food, but there are other agricultural products, right? We can even flowers. There are countries that you produce roses, right, and sell them. And so talk to me about other agricultural products and how the economic value of those products.
Well, couple of things here that you mentioned. In Kenya, flour and tea, East Africa, flour and tea is something that is huge. It is a phenomenal business, although some will argue that that business is being handled by Indians and a little bit of Lebanese there, but they do a good job and is very, very profitable. Right now, on the scale of what is being talked about is hemp, cannabis. So most people may not know this, so I will just take a second to just say this. No, I do not smoke weed, although it is legal in California. There are regulations in California, but there's recreational weed, there's therapeutic weed, there's medicinal weed, and so forth. It helps for cancer patients and various other medical needs. Something that is very big is there's a move, although it hasn't been solidified yet, for countries in Africa to grow hemp. And you can grow, there's a certain kind of cannabis plant that doesn't have a THC. So for those who don't know, weed, for it to be considered weed, it has to have a certain percentage of THC, a higher percentage of THC. And right now there are weed cannabis plants that do not have a high concentration of that THC chemical. And so that is legal. That should be grown. It's called hemp, and that's what is used for hemp rope, hemp oil, different things like that. So someone who's interested, we can have a whole nother discussion about the business of cannabis. But long story short, there are folks who are knocking on doors in Africa asking to see if they can get land to grow hemp. And basically, like to what Mr. Morris said, we may not consume that in Liberia. We may not have an interest. Maybe our moral inclination is a little bit apprehensive. But, to grow that, to kind of export it out. Now, I know some people are saying, well, some people are going to come and try to, criminalize certain parts of it, the black market and all that stuff. Look, we can deal with that. In everything that we do, I'm sure that there's someone out there who figure out a way to try to do so illegally. But we're not going to get into that discussion because it's the same as we have the people who sell gasoline on the side of the street. So we're not going to get into that discussion. But there are many opportunities for economic.
Mr. King, there
yes.
may be people who don't know what hemp is. Please delve into that a little bit.
Okay, hemp is basically hemp is what you can get from the growing of certain cannabis plants, and it's used for like oil. So you can use it for medicinal purposes. You can even use it as a form of like droplets, and you can use it for like vitamins. It can be used for skin treatment. It can be used to add to other cosmetic products to enhance the potency of that product. And then you can also just grow it for like rope, simple rope, hemp rope. So that's what a hemp plant is. And our climate in Liberia is very good for it. And, they're still having some discussions at the ministerial level, but we need to kind of move beyond that. So something that is important that you mentioned, Dennis, there's a lot of products that we have from the agricultural side that can be grown in Liberia, and we don't have to consume it. We can look to export it. Of course, I'm a big component of let's start with what we have. Right now, the cost of our electricity makes doing semi-finished goods makes it a little bit challenging, okay? So we just have to start where we are with growing this stuff and exporting it. But later on, I'm going to come back on and really get into the numbers and the economy of agriculture. If you want, I can get into it now, but before doing that, I want Deputy to kind of speak a little bit more.
Yes, thank you very much.
And Depu, to add to that, what I want to say is, really, we don't even have to. And people always talk about this that even though we consume rice, but we don't have to. We don't have to grow it. If we can grow something else and buy that, I think those of you are comparative advantage, right? So if we can grow snail and we are able to sell our snail to buy rice, that is also good, right?
Yes, obviously. Obviously, one of the things that we need to be looking at are, I'm glad that the the Minister of Agriculture now confirmed that someone who has had actually some particular farming and then the marketing of rice in Liberia. And and she also have background from the family level in terms of farming. But one thing I can say here is that instead of us going to the issue of cannabis and all the rest of the things, which are far beyond our reach, it's good for us to look at what we have. One, in my first point, I discussed the issue of rubber. Do we really see it as a greater opportunity for Liberia? Since Firestone banned in Liberia in 1926, we look at rubber, and almost all of the farmers in Liberia have actually gotten involved with rubber farming. But one challenges that they face is that there haven't been any value addition on rubber. So what are the opportunities? Is there a way that we can establish a production plan? As we speak, there is an ongoing project with what we call cocoa plantation in Myanmar. They call now it's called Myanmar rubber. It's becoming. In fact, my last conversation with the CEO is that we put that in the Propo agenda because the reality is that it's a Liberian owned firm now that's trying to see how to do value addition of rubber. Now they have a factory established and they have huge number of Liberians that are already employed. And because of that, they are now going to increase their production. As they increase their production, they're going to increase their labor force by 15%. And annually, as they increase production, therefore, it will also increase the number of labor force as they go along. That means that it's a growth opportunity. They are also bringing in technology that will also actually do or smoothly rubber production. Latex will never be, they will never export rubber latex as they do before, and prior to the rest of the people do. So farmers, what happened to why? Now, the next question that there is that you need to go to local farmers. Now you have to be doing an outreach to farmers who don't actually have the technology, who don't have the capacity, but they have land that are producing rubber. With the opportunity for them to have value addition to their land, to their rubber, they also give them the opportunity to increase their productivity and also increase the yield. That also increase the income of the household or the Liberian. That is part of our industrialization of rubber. So you can now look at, if we have that opportunity, what do we do in terms of plastic products that will be produced locally? You also have another firm that already established in Nigeria that went purposely into that sector. That is to create more jobs. Besides that, there are a couple of products that we need to be looking at besides rubber. Look at cocoa industry. In fact, just quite recently, the government of Liberia found a cocoa, sector project that cost millions of dollars, and EU is going to be financing them. One of the major opportunities that there is that it is not only into NGO thing, is more of our farmers having access to what add value to cocoa production. Look at Cote d'Ivoire. You say Cote d'Ivoire. My colleague was saying Cote d'Ivoire. Cote d'Ivoire had cocoa, they had coffee. First, they were high into coffee. They became a major export in the country for coffee. Then later on, they look at the coffee and added cocoa to it. So today, Cote d'Ivoire remains a stable economy. It's the same thing that the Liberian government need to do right now. In addition to rubber, you can add cocoa to rubber to become a stable major export product from Liberia that you can have value addition. That effect can create stability. Now, in that same sector, you have fishery. Fishery is one of the major opportunities for Liberia as we speak. And partners are looking at that. Even private sector, you look at me right now you don't have Liberian-owned fishing companies, but you got a Chinese-owned fishing company that are willing to sell shares to Liberians. And these are the opportunity that people can now go into the sea. As to do the industrial fishing, what happened? If they open a fishery right now, they just signed a contract with the World Bank to see how
Depu, pause for a second. Go back.
Yes.
Please, you have to share some light on this.
Yes.
Agriculture, I can't plant my crops today and get my money next week. Now, you mentioned there are some companies that are offering shares to buy. Share with us a little bit about that. Is that investing in a long term, saying that they're going to wait, or is that through a loan?
It's a long-term investment, but not very long. As far as I'm concerned, the fishery companies that are coming in, they are looking for partners, Liberian partners. And that itself is an opportunity. I know I remember 2 weeks ago having a discussion with one of them to see what do you want, what do you think. And I discussed with the fishery director during the preparation of the Popo agenda. I was saying, look, you need to look for off-takers. You need to look for one company that can become an off-taker, an indigenous company that will say, you know what, we are into fishery, and now we want to make sure that people actually buy shares into this company. That will become a greater opportunity for Liberian people. Besides that, you have canoe owners, people who actually do artisanal, informal fishing, which is canoe. A lot of them can now have opportunity to actually fish and also sell to this company for what industrialization. It's a big, in terms of value chain production for Liberia. It's a better opportunity. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Zo.
Okay. Wait, Depu.
I was trying to look at the major products that Liberia has the opportunity right now in, and I just named three. Let me say. Rubber, cocoa, but I can now stop here. We still have other points that we can discuss.
Yeah, Musu Stewart says sugar cane.
Yeah, that's what I want to go to, because sugar cane is in fact, for me, where I grew up in a rural area, it was cocoa, it was sugar cane. That I think majority of the farmers that were there, my parents, that why they used cocoa and to send us to school, and cattle rearing. And once they raise the cattle, they sell that to send us to school. Besides that, the key after you see the local production of sugar cane is the bigger market. But what happened to Liberia now is that sugar production is low. Right now, majority of our sugar coming from Brazil, and we import from Brazil. And we had a good source for sugar production. Why can't we take advantage of that? If the opportunity is there, in fact, Southeast Maryland County was producing sugar prior to the Civil War, and they have a good land for that sugar cane production. That's another market. And as we speak right now, besides sugar cane, which of course in terms of production, you will not even need a high startup capital as far as I'm concerned, because what you need is for the mill processing, and if you can start it as a labor-intensive production, and later on can become capital-intensive production. These are opportunities that can actually drive the economy. Let me go to major food. Okay.
No. Thank you. Say something. Go ahead. Go ahead.
It should be a more conversation. I would say take more questions. But I think
all right.
For me, I think Liberia has
I want to dig in this a little bit more, Depu, because you've kind of been on the ground. Look, it is no secret. Every president, every administration, agriculture is something that's on their mind. But when it comes time for the money allocation doesn't match what is on the mind. Okay. Now, machinery and different things like that. Tell us, during the time that you were working in the administration and everything, were there any opportunities for financing for agriculture machinery? Was it anything that the government said we're going to take ownership? Or did you know of a private company that said we're going to take ownership? or a private enterprise, Liberian from the Liberian side?
One thing that I want to say here is that in terms of for the recovery process of the Liberian economy under Madam Service Administration, there was some bigger opportunity that came to the agriculture sector. One of the focus there was from the government side. This is what I always like for people to think about. Government has to do with policy, and now in terms of policy, the government makes sure they have a lot of policy on seeds, rice policy, cocoa, and all of the variety of crops, and they have a policy written on that. What was actually lacking there is that that's what I told the current administration, having real Liberians or off-takers in the sector to say, I'm going into this business and be into it is another challenge. And which, of course, I don't normally blame them. One of the challenges is that our financing opportunity, our financial sector had not actually had opportunity for a product of what? Financial, agricultural financing. So loan opportunity in the agriculture sector are actually lacking. But other private entities were having the opportunity to do lending outside of Liberia. So you know now that as we speak, the African Development Bank is actually working with the government of Liberia to see how best they can finance agricultural financing. They also have projects which also, is giving opportunity. World Bank also have SAPI projects and so many things to see how best to actually grow opportunity in the agriculture sector. So we have that. What you will not see realistically, I will say is that the commercial banks to say that there's an agricultural lending bank in Liberia. No, we don't have
that. Thank you, Debu. Question now. Question. What would be the?
Hold on, William.
Sorry, Dennis, go ahead.
Yeah,
Dennis, go ahead.
Let
me answer the issue of equipment. There were arrangements with the IFAD project with Agriculture Ministry that they can import agricultural equipment. A lot of people did the importation, but mine, to the best of my knowledge, that project didn't go well. I know it's been audited, but there's another opportunity right there for equipment rental. That's one of the things that we need to be doing. You see, in the farming in production area, as I said when we were discussing the last time, that our Fabra, which was done by the current agriculture minister, you go into the market, you don't have to take over all of the activities in the production process. Other company can be responsible for importation of equipment. Another company can be responsible for transportation of agricultural products from one point to another. Another company be responsible for financing. So these are the things that you need to put in the ballpark and look at the opportunities in there.
Before Morris comes in, let me bring on a caller to join the conversation. Caller, your name and where you calling from?
Yeah, Mr. Ja, this morning from Las Vegas. I'm really enjoying your program this morning. I like the topic. And I tell you, President Weah couldn't have found a better candidate, a better agriculture minister, lady that he appointed. But that position will have a lot of challenges. So, and I'm sure she's somebody well connected, and she knows how to. She's a dot connector, as they call them, that will overcome those challenges. But one thing that we need to understand is that we cannot successfully run an ambitious agriculture program like the president wants. I assume it covers all 15 counties without the stamp of the private sector. Liberians that are entrepreneurs, the government will have to provide some sort of incentive for them to be a part of that, enhance and make that the agricultural policy successful. We know very well that, like Mr. Zul was saying, we've got rubber. We have to stop thinking about exporting raw materials.
What do you have in mind?
If you look at
I want to, can you go back for a second? Can you go back for a second? Yeah, I just want you to go back for a second. And I know you mentioned the private-public partnership involvement. I was just asking, do you have some examples of what that might look like? Of what that might look like?
Yes. The example is that not everybody cut up for actually farming. So what I have in mind is for dot connectors, entrepreneurs out there who can look at the supply chain and identify gaps within the supply chain that they will be willing to fill in those gaps. And I'll give you an example. So, for instance, fertilizer. There's not a fertilizer company in Liberia now. The government going on a 15-county agriculture project. Those projects, fertilizer will be mission critical and key to the success of farming in all 15 counties. Another thing, and we also have to look at new technology. They've got artificial intelligence nowadays that identify the rot and disease crops. An entrepreneur can come in with that also. You understand what I'm saying?
Got it.
Entrepreneurs out there can look at the rubber sector and they can bring in partners from outside and say, hey, let's turn our rubber into latex gloves. You will be surprised at how much profit is in that sector, the latex gloves alone, all over. Not only the United States, but look at the market in China.
Okay.
So
well, I didn't want you to digress so much, but I definitely wanted those examples. Sorry.
Yeah, let me just say something, Mr. King.
Yes.
That's an old saying. It said during the gold rush, the people who made a killing, who became millionaires, were the entrepreneurs who sold shovels, picks, and other implements. So, like I said, not everybody into agriculture, but just identify the gap and move in.
Right.
Identify the gaps within the supply chain.
Got it.
So, does that make sense?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Moyo. Let me go to Maurice.
But okay. Dennis, Mr. Moyo wasn't finished. I just asked him for some examples. He elaborated on it. I don't know if maybe I caused him to lose his train of thought. Mr. Moyo, anything else?
Yes.
Another thing I saw, because most Liberians, as soon as you hit them about agriculture, the first thing that comes to mind are rice, right?
Yes.
And the next thing will be cassava. But I was driving through Liberia a couple of years ago, and you will be amazed at how much bamboo the country has. And that's another agricultural. That's another plant that is so popular in China, in the United States. You know, if we could get into bamboo farming, that's another 10, 20, 30, $40 million right there.
Yeah.
For whoever wants to get into that area, you bring in partners. For instance, we've got AGOA. I think they call it the African Growth and something, AGOA. I'm sure Mr. Zuo knows about it.
African Growth
Liberia is one of
Opportunity
the few countries. Yeah, the African Growth Opportunity Act. Liberia is one of the few countries that not, and basically that act says you can ship from Liberia to the United States any product made in Liberia with the stamp made in Liberia, and you wouldn't have to pay any tariffs on it. But Liberia, one of the few countries that have not taken advantage. They have not taken full advantage.
Let me ask you a question, Mr. Molu. One question before you leave. Let me ask you one question, okay? Just a question for you. If somebody came up with an agriculture company for Liberians and said that it's a long-term investment, and they said, hey, we want people to put in $1,200 a year for 5 years, and the focus will be on us looking at some of these public-private sectors, these little niche areas. Is that something that you think would be worth your pennies as a sacrifice? Patron to Liberia?
Yeah, if that person would say so, they come with a good business plan that maps out what the 5-year plan will be, the 10-year plan will be, You know, I mean, and if it makes sense, it has to, you know, they say if it makes dollars, it makes sense. If it makes sense, yeah.
Yep.
But you have
Okay.
to come
Thank
up
you.
with a roadmap to prosperity, how that company will prosper.
Got it.
Okay?
Got it. Thank you. Thank you. Mr.
Okay,
Morris?
fellas. I'm enjoying you guys. You guys are great.
Thank you. Thank you.
In addition to that,
Depu, go ahead. I know you wanted to add something.
yes, you know, one of the things that there too is that you look at a lot of Liberians who are not considering the entry point, because as I was saying, Mr. Moyo also added, you see, our grower farmers are all over Liberia in all the area. For example, we talk about rubber. There's no one to serve as a middleman and say, I'm not going to own a farm, but I can now link all of the farmers through a registry and a financing opportunity and link them with Firestone. Instead of Firestone going to be buying from farmers, you become a middleman to now buy from Firestone, or you buy from farmers and send it to Cocopa or Nima Rubber or to Firestone. Those are opportunities. And the same thing you do with rice production. In fact, this is what Fabra was doing. Fabra didn't have a farm, rice farm, but they actually go and buy the rice from the farmers and process it and sell it on the market. So that is obviously the opportunity that we have in the country. Another thing that we want to be looking at is marketing. This is where one of the challenges that we have for Liberian-owned businesses. This is where we have the challenges. If you have a marketing firm that first of all just say, you know what, we are going to be here to just be branding your product. So just do the marketing outside and see, you know what, you're producing something, but you don't have that marketing specialist who really know how to market it, and just be in a position to link Liberian firms to other markets and the rest of the world. These are some of the opportunities that we have to say, okay, now, why is it that you have a fishery company in Liberia, but they do all the fishing, but where are the market? Where are the opportunities? You go there and give them all of the linkages. These are some of the, besides they just going to say, I want to own a farm, these are the areas that we have to look for opportunity for.
Yes, yes. Morris.
Yes.
Go ahead. Okay. Morris, if you right now, if you have some money to go on a farm in Liberia, you heard what Depu just said. With what Depu said, if you looking at the agriculture sector and you had 100K, where would you go? Would you go to the farming? Would you go to marketing? Would you go to the distribution like Fabra Rice? Would you go to machinery? Where would you go?
I'll be looking at marketing. Yes, specifically looking at marketing because it's one of the key areas that the local farmers have challenges. How to take the product to the market, how to reach the product to consumer. And for me, I really want to stress this from my own experience. And in 2007, I was opportune to be part of the HIPIT audit that gave rise to the debt waiver in Liberia. And one of the entities that was selected, ministry that was selected for that exercise to ensure transparency and accountability of Ministry of Agriculture. And one of the biggest challenges in Liberia in terms of investment in agriculture sector is transparency and accountability. Millions of dollars has gone into the investment in agriculture in Liberia. And the issue of transparency and accountability have become a major issue. It's not what you want to grow, but people that are involved in the sector should be transparent. I followed the new appointed minister. I was disappointed. And despite she has the necessary qualifications, Kim, I hope you don't feel offended.
No. But look, if I can be around and sustain the whole Firestone thing, please keep going.
And she has a requisite credential and she has a track record in the agriculture sector. And for the record, she holds one of the biggest investment in the sector. And if you do an analysis of the sector, she's one of the biggest stakeholder in the agriculture sector. She's the CEO for Fabric and Corporation in Liberia. They involved in rice production. When she was appointed as the Minister of Agriculture, I thought she was going to publicly announce her resignation from that position, because looking at conflict of interest, government cannot be investing millions of dollars. The issue of transparency and accountability in that sector has become one of the serious problems. We're not getting the actual result we deserve from the agriculture sector, because people that hold that position, because money comes from the government and donors to empower both public and private sector to enhance agricultural activities, because agriculture is one of the key components of sustainable economic growth. So transparency should be one of the key issues that people should consider. As an educated and well and knowledgeable person about the sector and know about the history of our country, I thought she was going to come out to announce, or even at the confirmation, to announce a resignation. But to hold that position and still occupy the position as Minister of the Agriculture, as Minister for Agriculture, I'm disappointed that I'm still having doubt that she will perform to our expectation. It's a high possibility that a CEO for an agriculture company can just divert all of the resources that government will be pumping to the ministry to work on business, because she appointed, she could be dismissed anytime. So we are human. She could say, okay, let me just continue investing in my business. So I will encourage her for me to trust her, to believe. I already know that she have the requisite experience and skill set, but the issue of transparency, I don't know her like that. She had to publicly announce her resignation from that position and appoint a new leadership to take over, and she should demonstrate, in fact, an appearance that she does not hold any influence in the administrative and operational activity of that entity. The sector is a very potential sector, but we have to prioritize transparency and accountability. And I'm my own disappointment up to today. Yeah.
Thank you. So, you hear that, Honorable Excellency Minister, you hear from a fellow Liberian. They're saying that, you can't be wearing two hats. They want you to focus on the Ministry of Agriculture work. And if you're wearing that hat and the CEO of Faber Rice, they are challenged to see how it's going to play out, because there's definitely a possibility maybe that you could divert some funds over to Faber Rice. So so we're waiting to hear to see how that plays out, if there will be some complete separation and what that looks like in the next coming weeks. We'll see if there's something there. Dennis,
let me bring
I want you to comment on that, but also I want you to, if you had that type of money, what part would you start? Would you go straight to the soil? Would you do marketing, machinery? Where would you go? Mm-hmm.
Sorry, you were not able to hear me. Okay, what I'm saying to our viewers, without a complete market analysis, I wouldn't be able to say that for sure, because you can be tempted to see where you think the needs are, or the money is, or where you're going to yield a better ROI. But in the absence of analysis, I wouldn't be able to tell for now. But let me bring in a caller. Maybe this caller is able to tell. Call out your name and where you calling from.
I'm Baton Rouge.
Again, say your name again and where you calling from.
Hey, Dennis is Amson Jabba.
Ansu, welcome to Focus on Liberia. Question or comment?
Yeah, Mr. Japa, welcome.
You people are talking about my area.
Oh, well, you got the platform. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Gentlemen, I started the farming business way back in Liberia in the 80s. I've been doing it for 34 years. When it comes to experience in farming, there's no Liberian that comes close to me when it comes to the experience I have in farming. No Liberian. You see, my brother, let me tell you something. Farming requires systems. We can talk all the talk. Until we Liberians can come together and put together our own system we can use to grow our food, it won't work. I'm telling you the truth. It won't work. It requires system. If you're going to depend on what you learn at the university abroad, and you say you're going to take that to apply that in Liberia, you're going to fail. We need people who are creative, people who are smart, people who are innovative to create a system that can work for us. Let me give you an example. I started my farming project in Liberia in 2014 to make sure that I can grow food for the country. My vision is to grow food for the entire nation. Okay. I want to grow pepper for the nation to cut off the importation of pepper completely this year. That's what I'm doing. By the end of this year, I will be able to cut off the importation of pepper. We won't have to buy pepper from Guinea no more. I will grow all the pepper in Liberia.
Okay, pause right there. Pause right there. Dennis?
Yeah.
Dennis, it is right now, whatever the time is, mark that, please. Mark that, please. Because, yes, our fellow Liberian who's taking up this mantle, which is a challenge, and he's taking up this mantle. So we need to make sure that we keep that in mind. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead, brother.
The farm is located in Nima County, District 7. Conway, in Conway, the place is called Conway. Nima County, anybody can go to see. You can see for yourself. Lawmakers, Liberian lawmakers have gone there to see it. They saw what I'm doing. By the end of this year, we won't have to import no pepper from Guinea anymore. I started on rice this month. In 3 years, we won't have to import rice no more. I will grow all the rice for the country. You see, listen, gentlemen, let me tell you something. System is what we need. You cannot apply what you get from the U.S. and just chunk it on our people and think it's going to work. We have to have the brain to put our own system together. And if you can put the system together, you can use little money to grow food for the nation. Let me give you an example. I want to grow pepper for the country, and that's what I'm doing now. I did not spend even $1 to build the entire nursery. All the materials I'm used for the nursery are local material. I didn't spend $1. I was able to build 81 nursery bed to grow enough pepper for the country without spending $1 on material. $1. Right now we are spending $200 million, $210 million plus on the importation of rice. With only $1 million, I can grow rice for the entire country. With only $1 million, I challenge the government. With just $1 million, I can grow rice for the entire country. Some people, this thing, it requires people with brain. People who know how to organize systems. That's the problem we have. They will tell you that they will have $8 million at the ministry, but a budget for agriculture, and the money is too small. Give me just $1 million for that money, I can change that whole country. Only $1 million. What we need are brains who can put together our own system to grow food for the nation. I thank you, my brother.
Thank you, Mr. Jabba.
Thank you.
Dennis, Dennis, did he sign off already? Mr. Jala sign off? I was wondering. I wanted to see if he has some time for some Q&A from maybe someone that was on the panel. But let's go ahead. Do you have another caller? Go ahead.
Caller, your name and where you calling from?
Ndaba, and I'm calling from Texas.
Your question or comment, Mr. Daba?
Welcome, Mr. Daba.
Yes, Mr. Cha, I want to thank you. Yeah, thank you very much for giving me your time. I mean, this topic for the day, it is one of the most important topics, that we've had on this show, especially looking at where Liberia comes from. The agriculture sector in Liberia, it is hard and it is easy to build. But what I think we can do in the first place is that, I spent a little bit of time in Nimba County, like the brother was just talking about Nimba. I spent a year in Nimba. And in my mind, there is a short-term process for the agriculture sector which can help to boom for the long-term process. That is to say, right now I can tell you, Mr. Jolly, farmers in Nimba County really do not want money from the government. The most important thing the farmers want right now in Nimba County is good road. I was there and I experienced it. I saw people harvesting plantains, fill up trucks. And those plantains stay on the truck and got rotting. Pepper, they stay on the truck and got rotting before we ship to Monrovia. So the people are unable to sell their goods. If the government can just make available and create a necessary, just create a roads for the people, the farm to market road, which is the most challenging aspect in the interior, in the rural area, I can tell you the agriculture aspect of Liberia will be solved in no time. That is the most important aspect right now when it comes to the agriculture aspect in the rural area. The farmers really don't want money from the government initially. Though on the long term, they might need the money, but initial aspect of it right now is road. If the government can just manage and invest in roads and give the farmers a better road, Mr. Jai, I can tell you the agriculture system in Liberia will boom. Farmers are making farm on their own without government input. But sometimes the farmers make the farm at a larger scale and then they just stay there and get rotting. They eat what they can eat, the remaining one stays in the bush. And no one to harvest them because there is no one to bring it to town. So even if you harvest them, they stay there and just spoil. You see, that's for the short term. That's for the short term. On the long term scale, then we can start talking about electricity, so that goods and other services that, like goods that are, like tomatoes, peppers, and goods that are going to get rotten and spoil. We have electricity where you are able to store them so that when people harvest their goods and government can create a means of purchasing some of these goods from the people. So that when they take their goods to the market and they are able to sell all the goods, the remaining portion of the goods, government can buy it from them and store it. That's another way of empowering the people while at the same time government is also using them to make money. You see? That's just my layman aspect I've seen in it so far from the late time I've spent up there. I think the most important thing I've seen in it right now is road. So we can have a good road for the people. Agriculture system in Liberia can solve itself gradually. Thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Depu, any comment on what the two gentlemen just said? Please chime in.
Yes, thank you. The last caller, I think he's right. Farm to market road is still a challenge across Liberia, and that's the reason why I said transportation company. If we don't have the logistics to transport as a farmer, if a company is able to transport that, you can actually send the cost over to buyers, and you still make your money. But one of the things that is also important, but the previous caller, I don't want to question his expertise, but to say that $1 million can feed Liberia in terms of rice production, I will definitely question that, and I doubt that, because the reality is that the cost of producing rice is very high. That's one of the main reasons why many of the people who looking for agriculture land in Liberia have always gone into cash crops that will bring them immediate return or long-term return. So it's important to look at that carefully. While it is true that even the agro farmers initiative is very important, even in rice production. But the yield from the farmers you will be looking at in terms of production, if a man is producing 10 acres of rice, then you know that he's going to be applying machinery and other things. If he's going to be producing using labor, the cost of labor will be very high, and the return on the rice production will be less. So they will be discouraged and leave the business. So I don't know whether it is appropriate or it is a real thing that he's done the research on to say that $1 million will help him to that. But it's a very good conversation that we all need to have. But the intervention or the gap issue we discussed earlier is almost the same thing you are talking about. For government, in fact, you don't have to do, let's say, balanced development and make sure that almost everything you want to do it, but you can do a partial approach to it. Maybe it's also, we also discussed this in the program. You need to look at certain regions and say, when it comes to production, which are the regions that produce more and which region produce what, and therefore we need to identify what are the needs that are there. So you can say, in terms of rice production, you say Bon, Lima, Lopa. If that's the case, let's consider the infrastructure aspect in terms of rice production. Let's consider warehousing. And that's one of the things we did with the Japanese farm. And say, look, why you brought in this thing is not going to be for relief on it. The farmers need to have a warehouse where the storage facility will be there. If they produce, they can store their food there. That's another intervention. So someone will say, I'm going to be specifically responsible for storage, and I'm going to be responsible for preservation. He's talking about pepper. If he produces pepper to say he's going to feed the Liberian market, what are the mechanisms or what mechanism he has in place to actually preserve the pepper? He's talking about production. I was very excited to hear that from him. Yes, but preservation of pepper is not going to go too out of the way. There's a need for another person to join into the market in terms of what preservation of the pepper. You know,
can I?
It's a whole thing we gotta be looking at.
So, thank you, Depu. So, to our viewers who are joining us, this is Focus on Liberia. Our discussion is economic dividends of agriculture and the confirmation of our Minister of Agriculture. Will things begin to turn around in Liberia within our agriculture sector? So that has been our overall topic conversation. We've had some very strong comments by some passionate Liberians that within 1 year time, they would supply all the pepper, and they're looking to doing that also in the rice space. We've also talked about the confirmation of the minister. Will she be wearing two hats, CEO of her company? At the same time, will she be running the ministry? Is there a conflict of interest in there? And before we go on, I want to go to our, just to read a couple of comments that we have from some of our callers. Dennis, if you don't mind, I want to read a comment from Musa, who says another problem is high input levels for items that are locally produced. And then she says, why should Liberian import apples when they can eat mangoes? Plum. So someone else say roads are very essential. Paul Lemandine said roads are very essential to growth and development of the country. And then Musa says government should increase tariff on the input of exotic foods and also food items that are locally produced. And then Armstrong says, I am building a cold storage. And someone says, he also says, I'm also building a warehouse. So we're looking at all of these things. These are impacts along the supply chain line that will better our agriculture system. Something that I want to bring out and make aware to all of us here is that this is a space where we can get involved, and this is a space where I think when we look at this, you see a bank that lends you money is handicapped, and you cannot look to a bank that lends you money for agriculture for some of these things, because some of these infrastructures we do not have in place. So we have to look at alternative ways in the private sector. People who want to look at 2 or 3 year, let the money sit and do what it's supposed to do, and then start looking at the benefits. And as it sounds, the people who are willing to do that the most, more than anybody else, are Liberians. We are willing to maybe take on that mantle and maybe wait a little bit longer. Why? Because we have a passion for Liberia. It is our country. So that's something that we really should consider within all the supply chain. I don't think this is something that the government has all the strong muscles to take this up on their own. And so we can engage in different areas. Is there another caller, Dennis, that's coming on?
Yes, let me bring in this caller, and then from there we're going to move into the confirmation and what the impact is going to be on agriculture. Caller,
yes.
So we have a caller on the line. Caller, your name and where you calling from? Hello, caller with area code 401. Your name and where you calling from?
I'm calling from Rhode Island. This is Gabby Bow. You hear me?
Mr. Bow, welcome to Focus on Liberia. What's your contribution?
Yeah, Dennis. Thank you for this forum. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Uncle Gabby.
Yeah. Long time.
I know.
Happy New Year. Happy family.
Everybody's doing good. Now, your question or comments to our guests.
Beautiful. I like agriculture stepping when it comes around. I'm a die-hard agriculturist. And I work in agriculture as well. I graduated school at LU, but I have a vision. And I thank God when this little guy appointed. What we have to understand is agriculture, like life, is sowing and reaping. We are looking at reaping, and we're not looking at sowing. That's one aspect. And what that lady was doing, I don't know her. I just saw her name. But I appreciated what she was doing, because she was heading that direction, and she's in that direction. One thing we have to understand is that government cannot make agriculture. Can't make agriculture farm. Nothing. We all live in America. There's no one farm in America to say this is owned by government. Go to the Midwest, you're flying over. The land, that area is bigger than Liberia. And agriculture put together, all farmers. What government can do, as somebody said earlier, is to have storage. Government has to establish storage. When we talk about agriculture, we mean rice. Because if you can feed yourself, you can go to rubber, you can go to any other thing. But first, we'll be able to feed ourselves. I attended a training like that before, and a professor came in the class, an international training that I went to, and the lady said Liberia, we're having rice problem. He said Liberia, the country Liberia, the staple food is rice. When they cook in their homes and they sweep outside where the water can go, they sweep it in the back of their farm place. The rice going that they cook and it gets out there. When they grow, you think they put fertilizer there. but yet and still the input rice. I was hurt, and that was the truth. When we talk about agriculture, the first and foremost is rice. And I tell you what, just in case you don't know, I was young then, or very small, when we used to have contests. I think it was October or the end of Tubman that I saw it. They used to have contests, rice production, when they used to have floats and parades. Lofa used to come number one in rice production, and it gets rice. That's one. And if we don't know yet, our country is in the valley. It's surrounded by mountains. From Kobe College in Freetown to Judith Mountain, we are surrounded by mountains. That will have the people that came to call our land the Green Coast. You understand that? Are you there? Hello?
Yes, we're hearing you. Go ahead.
Am I talking to somebody?
Yes, go ahead and conclude.
Yo, we all here. We all here.
Great. Okay, so our priority should be rice. Every other thing will fall in place. Because when people have food, they can do more things. But what government can do is, government can buy rice from farmers. What we have to do is find storage. And
Thank you.
For another 5. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Buy rice from farmers and find a storage of a preservative place and store those rice for another 5 or plus years. Guess what? Then in turn, government start to sell the rice to business people that will put in their store but at the reduced cost. So that we are feeding ourselves. The government is not going to put rice in the market for the buy. For business owners who are in the business world that can have business and they can now buy rice instead of opening it, importing it from somewhere else, they buy it from the storage and then they can put it in the market. By that time, the local farmers are benefiting. They don't have to, some will go in the market and sell, but they will have a place where they can store the rest and they get and they buy it. Right here, it's on TV. If they don't have food ripping or something, the season is bad, guess what? Government can subsidize them. But first and foremost, our farming is focused on rice.
Thank you, Mr. Powell.
The local people and since our economy be thankful. And then the other products like rubber and cocoa, those cash products, those are business people outside that can go into it. Like me and you, we have money, guess what? We can go and invest into it.
Thank you.
And the local farmers can do that great. But we have,
thank you.
Yes. And then, one more I need to come to. I hear somebody say Chinese people coming and all of that. I think in the world, most of you went to Ghana. And you saw in Ghana, if anybody coming with companies in Ghana, they have to have 50-50 partnership with somebody being a Ghanaian to be on our board or the leadership. Not because they bring in money. But that person that qualified, they got to work with you. And you have to share the share. If you come, we have to have a policy. Somebody said earlier. Can't see Chinese person can just say, okay, I'm taking over the fishery. Okay, anybody join me? No. Yeah. You got to think.
Thank you.
Think about that. You can't go in China and do that. You can't. You can't go to Ghana and say, I bring in my company here. They say, okay, anybody bring in $500 join me? No. You have a policy. You're going to go by 8th grade. If not, take your company back.
Thank you, Mr. Powell.
So this I think, but I'm happy for this lady because, All right.
Thank you.
So
Dennis, you have another. Thank you. Dennis, you have someone else on the line?
No, those are all the callers. Let's briefly talk about the confirmation, and then we'll be concluding. I will be getting your final comments.
Right. Thank you very much, Dennis.
Dennis, before then, let me say something. I know that it is many Liberians hate to hear this, and I will say it. One of the main reasons why our growth stays stagnant is because our inability to open our market to others. Because Liberians, we don't have the qualified and capable Liberians to take over to manage things, so it means that we cannot have foreigners to come in to invest. These are some of the constraints we've been having. And realistically, I love for us to be more productive citizens. But if the productivity is not there, we cannot wait until someone becomes, productive. You can now set a system in place to build your capacity and build it, along the way while you are waiting for the appropriate time. And the rest thing to do with these things are our policies. You can put a policy in place, you can put a system in place that Liberians can necessarily, they don't necessarily have to own a company, but they have to work with a company and also buy shares in the company. What's the big deal about that? If you don't have Liberians now to bring equipment to do large-scale production in fisheries, so you say no until Liberian can be available, we cannot give that opportunity to Ghanaians or to Senegalese or to other people? No. What you need to do is to make your citizens to be more productive and have that patriotism in them and know that, look, economic nationalism, I'm a Liberian, I must be able to own share of anything that's here. So it should not be that, it shouldn't be a charity thing that someone will always have to give you something, but it should be able to work. So I always want to encourage us to do this thing realistically. We live in America. And this is a country that many of the Liberians are calling the living here. And one of the things that you have to be looking at, that individualism here is highly, in fact, it's systematic. It's a systematic thing that you cannot see it. No one, even in the household, people discussing, the family discussing, the child is thinking about what he or she can do for herself. Mom and dad thinking about what they can do for themselves. Unlike in Liberia, we are sitting now waiting for parents to do it and waiting for government to do it. Then you expect us to grow? No.
That's a whole new another discussion there. But
I agree, but I want to encourage Liberians to always be open up
no,
to say, if you're living here and you got already good ideas, all those people who call say they have interest in agriculture, they're agriculturists, they're all here. I want to see them writing a proposal and conference saying, a man who lives in Iowa knows that farmers in Iowa, some of them, they are just family there having the farm. So you can go to them and say, okay, you struggling with the 100 acres. My grandparents had 300 acres. Can I work with you and buy a share? And then 5 years from now, I go and take over the farm in Liberia, and you still be a shareholder in the other company. That's how it starts. It doesn't have to be that you need to get everything available before you start.
no, I agree, Mr. Zuo. I think the part government has to play there is the policies, the regulations, so that whichever company comes, that it will be fair to the local population and people can buy shares. Like right now in Liberia, I believe there are some companies they're probably selling shares, but the average Liberian doesn't even know about it. So I think when government steps in with regulations and these policies, I think then there'll be a level playing field for people to work in those areas and even create their own businesses as a result. But let's briefly talk about the confirmation, and then we'll be closing the broadcast as we have gone, I believe, over 1 hour 30 minutes now. We don't want to get to 2 hours. So
yes, the confirmation it was a very good process. One of the things I will say clearly is that there was a positive sentiment already in favor of the minister designate. So it also played out on the Senate confirmation hearing that majority of them, I don't know, but they were not really prepared to ask some of the tough questions. Like the question that was raised by our colleague right now in terms of transparency, how will she manage, with her position, even though the company is originally owned by her son and later on she took over it, how will she relinquish her role and what will be her role between the company and the current job? These are things that were not actually captured Equally so, the government can actually have its own policy and say that, okay, with your involvement, you no longer have to deal with this, and that can be done later. But I want to say, unfortunately, I made some call. I've not been able to reach out. I want to say clearly that one of the things that in the agricultural sector that is good now, is important, is the relationship with the private sector. Mr. Dad, you will be surprised to know that all of these things that we talk about, whole concessional agreement with Golden Beryllium, we had a concessional agreement with all of these agricultural companies. Those land that were put into the concessional agreement as the asset of the company, these lands are already, I say, occupied by the community dwellers. So you will note that most of these companies are operating just 20% of what were declared to them. So I didn't hear these people asking questions, how will the minister address this? You know, because it's a serious challenge. You can look at Equatorial Farm, which is also in Grand County. They were given certain hectare of land. And this hectare of land, during the concessional agreement process, and they started in Monrovia and went into the agreement, they traveled to the country where the company coming from and signed it. Without going back to the owners or the community residents and say, look, we are selling 20 hectares of the land that you're sitting down on. And the guy comes, the only thing they will let them know that, oh, there's a company that is coming from Indonesia or other place, and they will come and create jobs, and your children will have this and that. And after signing the agreement, you are already sold where they live. They have no idea of what happened next. And it becomes crisis. That's why you see some of the Western Cross, those people are now leaving and saying, you know what, take over the land. They're in Bombing, in Cape Mount. They cannot go further. They cannot expand farm because the people, the dwellers are saying, no, we don't know that this thing has been given to you. So that's one thing the agriculture minister will not query or will not able to address. I don't know, maybe I might go and review the video. What are these things? The senators are seeing this thing as a potential crisis already in the country.
Thank you, Depu. So, Depu, are you saying that one of the challenges we have is also the way that we maybe administer our agriculture process? In that, I agree with you. Simon Darby left. They threw up their hands and said, "Hey, we out of here." And there's a few other companies that have done that.
Do you? Yeah. Now, have you found out the people? It's not only the economy; it's also because of the land. Saint Darby could not have access to all of the land that was purchased according to the agreement. So, as a minister of agriculture, we need to be studying these things. In fact, as I told the land commission and the minister of agriculture, the then minister of agriculture, that look, the both parties need to sit and understand this because there are some policy issues, conflict in the policy arrangement that we need to address. If you have a new agriculture minister thinking that, okay, the minister will not put everything on the table immediately, but there are so many constraints that the minister needs to address. In fact, the land issue, if you want to do mechanized farming, large farm production, how do you address the issue of land ownership? When the land right now is given to the community people, and also land is also government land, they have a private land, all of these things are already identified, and these parties will all have to agree. So there's a technical concessional agreement before it is signed. If it is signed without the consent of all the parties, it ends into crisis. So it stops production for the company. And you say, oh, we have so many companies signed up, but they are not producing.
Got it. Mr. Morris, what you got?
Smith, I hope you're not feeling offended.
No, but we're finished with that one there. That's a great question. That's something that you brought up. So, you can't go back to that one now. but it's your time to comment on what Mr. Depu said about some of these constraints and stuff. Do you think on that end? What are your thoughts?
I listened to Depu and he stressed some major concern: the issue of land, issue of transparency, and the government sticking to its side of the bargainings, encouraging private sector investment, because people putting their resources in your country, the first thing they want to know whether you're honest. Because every investment, the objective of investment is to get some return on your investment. Nobody goes to invest with all the expectation of coming back with empty-handed. But it is sad that the issue of transparency and accountability still remain an issue, and at the confirmation, those issues was not actually dealt with. What the minister comes with in terms of showing transparency and accountability in the sector. It's sad that, and I don't just want to lash at our elders of the country, the legislature, but I think they're ready to up their gains, because I think they're sometimes more political than being professional on some of the issues in terms of governance. And they had two major confirmations, the one with the defense and one with the agriculture. Yeah. Those two confirmations were very important before then, because we're talking about security and we're talking about what? The agriculture. Agriculture also was security, because we're talking about food security.
Mr. Morris, but there's something I want you to, okay, I figure out the question I want to ask you.
Okay.
Right now in the legislature body of our government in Liberia, you have individuals who are farmers, who own farms. And also besides that, you go way back, many prominent people in Liberia own farms. So is this something that you see where and they have expressed, even at the hearing, one of the senators, I can't remember where he was from, but he expressed how he had enormous challenges with running a farm. And so, are you saying that no one in government should have a business? How do we navigate that?
And you can have a business, but if your business has some close relationship with your constitutional function, then for us, from the background of transparency and accountability, was it interest that you have to work? Just clearly, state where you stand, whether you stand on the side of the government or you want to wear it too hard. And if you want to wear it too hard, a lot of questions will come in. And somebody want to know, because you'll be investing in private sector. I'm going to become in the agriculture sector to go to do private sector and to empower
Right.
So, and we see that you could be biased.
Yes. Now, wouldn't somebody say that? Oh, but experience. Wouldn't somebody say, but that is experience? How you want me to? I'm experienced in the sector.
in the context of Liberia, we put more emphasis on transparency and accountability, because if you check the record, we have had a lot of experienced people occupying that very position, and the issue of transparency was the key issue that drained down the whole sector. So that issue is not just you have experience. You can be educated, but you don't have integrity.
Yes.
You understand?
Okay,
So the issue of...
Let him land. Go ahead, Mr. Morris.
And I expected the legislature, the House of Elder, to raise the issue, but it was sad that issue was not raised, and the confirmation was very short. A lot of issue was not digest. She took the floor to actually explain, the kind of value she bring, how she want to mitigate some of the issue some of the risks some of the issues that currently exist in the sector, like some of the issues that the previous speaker just raised, the issue of land, what she brings to the table to mitigate some of those existing crises. Because when you come into a position, you have to do research in the environment to know the existing crises, the challenges, and what you're going to confront, and how you're going to deal with them. Some of the critical questions were not asked. But I think they still have time to bring her, so they can ask her on some of the issues so she can present herself. But I think that the issue of transparency and accountability remain a serious challenge in the sector. And that was not addressed. That was not addressed.
I think somebody got something to add to that, Depu.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
hold on. Depu?
Yes, man, I know that you raised a very good point, but you don't expect the minister to go into something that the Senate does not really address. You
Depu, I agree with you. Depu, I agree. You myself saying the same. My issue here is, it's just unfortunate that they are not blaming her, but it's just unfortunate that the host of elder never raised that issue. But that issue that even the public, we in the public, we are raising, and we're trying to bring her, trying to make her to understand for us to trust her, because she needs our confidence. She needs the public support. Understand? Yeah. If I want to invest in the agriculture sector, I think
we beat that point down enough. Let's
Can I conclude? Can I conclude? Yeah. Okay, what I was saying, to attract private sector investment in the agriculture sector, the tune at the top. She has to set the tune. And to set the tune, she has to come out to the public and relinquish that position, because she can occupy the dual role.
Yeah. So now let me come in. This is my view of it. Because I want to clarify first that the business was actually owned by her son, and later on she came and go into it as a larger partner into the business. So relinquishing that.
Per the record, she's the CEO, and we know who is the CEO of a company.
Yeah.
He's a CEO. Let's forget about the history. They look at the information before us. That's the information before us. She's a CEO.
I don't doubt it, and I think I agree with you on that point. My concern right now, what I want us to be looking at, I think is a major concern to me, is that productivity in that sector. While it's true as a minister, she has a very good vision and wants to see how the country grows. Other constraints that one of it I just mentioned, and besides the land challenge that you expect the minister to address, there's still issue of, let's say.
No, I think you're trying to contradict me. I said the Senate never raised some of the critical issues to get her response. I'm not blaming her, but I'm saying those issues was not raised because the Senate the Senate, because I don't just want to drag it in while limited time, other people speak out to come on. Understand? I said the Senate never raised this issue. I'm not blaming her for not responding to them.
But I agree with you, Mario.
Yeah, but I'm using this platform, and we're using the platform for her to demonstrate integrity, to encourage private sector investment in the sector.
Yeah, that's what I want to go.
You have to set the tune.
That's where I want to go, because the thing about it is that most of the farmers, especially the investors that are going in, themselves need someone that they can trust. And that person, with the trust from that person, they can now say we have a different administration, different system that we can trust, and therefore we will maintain our presence in Liberia. Whether it's the budget of San Darby and the rest of it, despite it being one of the largest investments we talk about in Liberia, it's still a loss to the country. You only have an agreement, but now productivity has actually reduced, and as we speak, we don't know, as they give the farm over to another company, when the company will start production. So it's another thing. What is also important for us, what I was going to before you came in, is that I think Ministry of Agriculture has this high pool of the large pool of technocraft or PhD holder, master holders in agriculture, and in terms of practical, the application of their skill is lacking. And I foresee, for me, I'm looking at it from their perspective. not coming from the agricultural background, but being a practical agricultural practitioner, whether there will be that cooperation and coordination done in our ministry to make us to succeed. That's one thing I want to say, because that's one of the major constraints in public sector. Oh, she doesn't, I will know my skill and I have the skill set. I'm not minister and she coming from because of connection. So that itself is something that even in a confirmation, she expressed that yes, she will work with the team that there. But this is one of the things that I anticipate, and I hope that she will use her leadership skill to actually leverage that to make sure that she has better productivity as a minister.
Thank you, Mr.
Other
Zul.
than that, yes.
Thank you. Okay, time is fast spent. We're going to use this time now for your concluding statement. Each of you have 2 minutes. Let me start with Mr. Mann.
Yeah, Jack. Again, I just want to say thank you for the topic today. It was very fascinating. I see my brother Willem there. He's like he's not comfortable. because I think his relatives on the grow, yeah. So but I think it's a good thing for us to show transparency and accountability in the sector, because it's been one of the biggest challenges even during the HIP. We were on the HIP audit. The entity was selected for key purpose to ensure that the Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Lands and Mine, those are key entities that international community look at to trust, that can attract and foreign direct investment. But the first thing people should know, what's the credibility? If someone reading the news and see that the head of that entity is also in the business, and would think that and it should be biased, and she had not even resigned from her position. Even in America, when Donald Trump took office, he resigned from the business because he want to be controlling Wall Street, be president, and be cutting all the deals. So she needs to set the tone, and that it will help to attract foreign direct investment in the sector. I think she needs to take the step.
Thank you, Mr. Zul.
Yes, I think for me, I stressed it in my explanation. There are other issues she needs to address. The issue of land is a major constraint because she knows that mechanized farming is very much important. It's key. And if there's a land constraint or crisis on land, it will be difficult for the sector to actually pick up. And the issue of coordination with police and people that are key drivers in the sector. There is something that in the ministry that is very much important that I know she will tap into it to see your leadership. They got what I call Agricultural Coordination Committee. That itself has to do with all the NGO, international NGO, and that of the policy institution like FPMC, the rest of it, that needs to be meeting. It's very much important. That there where leadership comes. And I think I want to encourage her as a minister. It should not be more of a dialogue, a conversation point. There should be some action point. Every coordination meeting should have an action point that will lead to the outcome of that sector priority that is set already by government. For example, you're talking about cocoa production. All the actors in the cocoa sector, in the Agricultural Coordination Committee, there should be an established target that, look, cocoa yield of production have been 20 hectares in 2017, and we hope by 2025 it should be what? 50 hectares, and therefore our output will increase by this amount. And all of these actors should be in the position to put their resources to this, because you will hear say this other organization, EU brought this money, World Bank brought this money, and you will hear all the amount. But in the end, after the implementation, you realize that, but nothing in the sector. What is left? So that's the area I would encourage her and challenge her to take stand. Because obviously, when the partners take the lead, you have to.
Thank you, Mr.
That's my comment, and we all need to be involved with Liberia. Thank you for the opportunity. I hope next week we can have someone who will be speaking from home to really respond to issues instead of us sitting down discussing our theoretical thing overseas.
Thank you. Mr. King, your concluding statement.
Yes. First, want to thank all of our viewers and everyone that joined us on our Facebook Live. This conversation was about economic dividends of agriculture, confirmation of the Minister of Agriculture. As you know, one of our panelists, he's not here, but I will steal his phrase. We were doing a little bit of periscoping, but I think we'll probably do a little bit more deep dive in the periscoping side of the house. But it is true, ladies and gentlemen, agriculture is something that is important in Liberia. And the reason why we have this focus on Liberia is to educate, elevate, and promote things Liberian. And one of the things I just want to leave this show with our viewers and listeners is just start thinking a few things. Just ask certain questions, why? And I think why will lead to some solutions. One of them is, why don't we have our agriculture bank? Number one. Number two, why is it that there's nothing available for Liberians like us who would like to maybe invest in the agriculture sector? Why isn't there a structure available right now for us that we can put something in? And also, what's our future looking like within agriculture, and what are the challenges? So I want to thank our panelists. Also, to Morris, which is important, is that every single public official that when they come into place, they have to stand the test of scrutiny and criticism and critique. And there are certain things that we want answers to, and it's not because of our own selfish reasons, but it's because we want to see our Liberia excel. So I want to thank everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. Back to you, Dennis.
Thank you for the time, all our panelists, and want to thank our viewers on Facebook. Thank you so much for those of you who contributed comments. Sorry we couldn't read all the comments, thanks to our callers. Stay tuned to Focus on Liberia at 7 p.m. My man, as soon as here, will be here with an exclusive interview with a CDC former chairman, Mr. Arthur Zakama. Keep tuned for that. And tomorrow at 3 o'clock, we're going to be having an exclusive interview with artist Jody Clark Jr. Then at 6, we're going to continue or climax our mental health series. Until then,